All right, guys, 2014 is starting, and that means we're going to start off this year and do what we did last year. Try to pick who is the one to watch for the year. Basically, what that means is we all can pick one person that we think is going to have a really breakout year in WWE. And they don't need to be a rookie or anything necessarily. They don't even necessarily need to be on the roster. They could be somebody that might be joining soon and they could have a good year. They could be a veteran and they're going to finally get that world title reign. Anything of the sort like that. Last year, I'm going to give a rundown of who we ended up picking. Alfonso picked Antonio Cesaro, who had a pretty decent year in some regards, but he did start off the year with the United States title and wasn't able to win another title since then. Braden went with Ryback, who, man, Ryback, whew, he got fucked over this year, didn't he? Uh, the Miz was the choice for Chris Jester, and Miz floundered a bit. He had his ups and his downs, but mostly downs, I would say. Burhan went with Dean Ambrose, who had a really good year. He's still the United States champion, and he is still one of the more prominent members of the roster, despite being pretty much a rookie. Graham went with Wade Barrett, who was almost completely absent for a lot of this year, which is a shame. Carlos split his. He went with The Miz and Cody Rhodes. Both people we went over The Miz a minute ago. Cody Rhodes has been gearing up to a pretty good year. And I ended up going with Daniel Bryan, and I don't really need to explain what kind of a year Daniel Bryan had. He had a really good year. But 2014 has a whole new uh, picture that we have. Some people have been released. We have some more people on the roster that didn't even exist when we were doing this last year. So, what do you guys think is the one person who is going to be a standout this year? And do you think that they're going to have any particular title reigns? Do you think that they have any significant feuds that are going to be the reason why you picked them? Where do you think they're going to end up when it comes to 2015? And overall, who was the one to watch? Peyton, who do you think?
I was worried you were going to come to me first.
All
Uh, well,
Uh,
listen, there's a very obvious answer that I think anyone here could easily go with.
Is it a Samoan answer?
It is a Samoan answer. And that man is,
Okay,
of course, the standout, as they kept referring to him during SmackDown segment tonight, Roman Reigns. This guy is just an absolute beast. And if I had been around last year for this one to watch episode, I would have said Roman Reigns then. And you can go ahead and call my bluff, but if you go into an episode, I think it was 1 or 2 weeks we did after that where we booked WrestleMania, I booked Roman Reigns to pin The Undertaker. I've been very big on Roman Reigns for a long time. I think he should have had a better year than he had, but you know what? Even what he did have, being a tag team champion, going from being the guy that people were kind of like, oh, he wasn't an indie guy, I don't give a shit about him in the Shield, to being the standout, without a doubt, to anybody. There's very few people who will make an argument for anyone else in that group to have the potential to stand out more than Roman Reigns. Will he become a world champion in 2014? That all depends on what kind of push they want to give him. They're very lax on giving guys those rocket pushes like they did. Last guy they did that for really was Sheamus. I don't know if they'll do that with him just because of fear, but at the same time, this guy's got the blood, he's got the look, he's got the skills, he's got the dedication. I don't know why there's any reason not to. So Roman Reigns, one to watch, 2014.
what do you think the bottom line is that he's going to end up in 2015? When we go back and we look at this next year, what do you think is going to end up happening? He's going to be world champion? Do you think he's going to be long time U.S. or IC champion, upper mid Carter? Where do you
I,
think he's
I
going to end up?
I don't think he's a guy who should hold on to a mid card title. If anything, I would rather see him just kind of hang out on his own until he's ready to go into that world title spot. I think more 2014 has to be here that Roman Reigns creates his own persona. Because right now he's just another guy of the Shield. He needs to separate himself. He needs to take off the flak jacket and show off those beautiful pecs and solidify himself as a single person, a single entity, and not a member of the Shield.
And we wonder why we got those type of callers in.
Wago, who is your one to watch for 2014?
I'm gonna give you the Samoan answer again. The only other guy I can think of is Big E, and I'm still unsure about him. As far as Roman Reigns, the future's bright. He has the look. He has the ability in ring. A big guy that can move around. That's awesome. Obviously WWE's high on him. Every time that they show the Shield, it's like they slowly pan away from the other two members and just focus the camera on Roman Reigns. They're into him. The fans are behind him. Yeah, when he was eliminating everyone in the Survivor Series match, everyone was into him. As far as what the future holds for him, I don't think he's going to be champion in 2014, just because with the titles unified, that spot is ever so harder to get, as it should be. But I see him as Mr. Money in the Bank this year.
Yeah, that's Money in the Bank's a good thing that could end up being on him. And there's only going to be one Money in the Bank too. So
About fucking time.
yeah, unless they split that all up and they start doing Money in the Bank for like the U.S. title or something like that. But I don't know. I don't think they'll be doing that. Miguel, one to watch, 2014. Who's your pick?
It's really hard to say because you guys have already taken the most obvious two at the same time, though. How many guys have we gone into, years past and thought, all right, this guy clearly is going to be the next big thing, and they've just dropped the ball on him so much. I mean, I remember when people thought Barrett was going to be the next big thing. I remember when I really can't think of any more people after that, but there have been guys that people have thought were going to be big stars and haven't really attained much, like Cesaro.
Hell, even
obviously.
Ryback.
Yeah, Ryback the same way. I mean, everybody puts so much stock into a lot of these up and coming guys, and it seems like WWE just purposefully kills these guys down, almost to spite the fans in a way. Like they're like, "Oh, you guys think that this guy's going to be big? Well, screw you guys. We tell you who's going to be a big star, even though we already originally told you that these guys are going to be big stars."
But here's the difference. They are telling us who this star is going to be. Roman Reigns wasn't a people's champion. He was something that was shoved down our throats and caught on.
Maybe that's going to be the case.
And the WWE like him because he's totally WWE made. He isn't from an independent. He's made in NXT. They love that.
Yeah, but to be fair, so was Ryback. Ryback was a homegrown talent. I don't remember him being an indie guy.
He's still got a job, doesn't he?
Mason Ryan.
He's got a lot of jobs to different people.
Yeah. Okay, but if I'm trying to think of one that isn't Biggie Langston or Roman Reigns that I could probably say is going to be impressive. I hate to say this.
Playing elevator music.
No, I hate to say this because it's gonna sound cliched, and most people are gonna laugh. But given how much emphasis they've been giving him down in NXT, I'm gonna say that the wild card pick that most people are probably gonna scoff at. I'm gonna go with Bo Dallas. I think.
Oh, Bo Dallas.
No.
Don't stop believing, people.
I preface this because if you've seen NXT, he's caught on. I mean, he's really grown into this heel gimmick of his. This kind of overly, almost a parody of John Cena in a way. It's almost like if John Cena realized what he was doing and really just kind of latched onto it. That's Bo Dallas. And I think if they brought him up and they just let him continue with that gimmick, I think he could really get over as a fun heel. Maybe not main event material, but I think he might be somebody that could make the mid card very interesting.
Just a small town Bo, living in a lonely world. Okay, I'm not gonna.
I hate I hate to say it, but his gimmick is great down in NXT. And honestly, my biggest fear is that if they bring him up, that the writers, that the Raw writers aren't going to get it, and they're going to do like what they've been doing with Wade Barrett. Which, by the way, can I go on a bit of a rant here?
No.
Oh, okay.
What's the rant?
All right, I've been watching a lot of the old Bad News Barrett skits on the JBL and Cole show. And I went back and watched a lot of the newer stuff that he's been doing on Raw. And I think I finally understand why this gimmick has been bothering me. Because I just have not been able to get into the Bad News Barrett gimmick on Raw. I don't understand what people see in it. But after watching a lot of the Bad News Barrett gimmicks from the JBL show, I finally understand what the biggest problem is. And it's pacing. The comedy like the Bad News Barrett gimmick is predicated on speed. It's in, it's out. You don't linger on it and really give it thought, or else you're going to realize how stupid the gimmick is. It's like being slapped in the face and then running away. It's like you're kind of just sitting there more like, dumbfounded by what just happened rather than dwelling on, what actually did happen. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with Bad News Barrett. I don't think the material is that terrible, honestly. It's generic, but it's not terrible. I think the problem is the whole setup. They have him go out there. They have that podium. they have him go out there and they do that thing where they give the fans time to react to it. He says his line, then waits, then he says another line, then waits. It's the typical WWE delivery. And I think a gimmick like that, to really get over, you can't do that. You can't have it linger. If they left it to the backstage bits where he's in and he's out and that's it, I think that gimmick could really have a lot of legs. As such, it's like a fart. It's there and it just lingers and it stinks. It really bugs me because this shouldn't be difficult. Just do what was working on the JBL show and you're good to go. But WWE has to make it its own thing. They have to put their comedic stamp, and their comedic stamp 9 times out of 10 is not funny. It's not comedy. And
So
it's
basically what you're saying is Wade Barrett, not the one to watch.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think this is going to be a rough year if the Bad News Barrett gimmick is going to be what we're going to be looking towards.
So I think what you're saying is, if you're Wade Barrett, well, I'm afraid Miguel's got some bad news.
Sean, who is your one to watch?
Well, as you all know, I am a big Seth Rollins fan. That is why I'm not going for him. But I'm going to go with Corey Graves from NXT. I think he's going to come up in the Royal Rumble, eliminate Dean Ambrose, and they're going to feud for a long time for the US belt. And Corey Graves is going to take the belt off him.
Where do you think he's going to end up within the year? Is he going to win any titles? Is he going to be...
He's going to win the US Championship, and he's going to linger around a few months, longer than Curtis Axel.
Oh, well, that's not saying too much. Curtis Axel.
Corey Graves currently in the Ascension?
No, that's Victor and
Conor O'Brien.
Connor.
I know,
Conor
looking at him,
O'Brien.
though, I want to do the fucking blue dot gimmick with his face.
I'm going to go with Sheamus for my one to watch. I have said before many, many times that I think Sheamus gets a little bit too special treatment. And
As he gets fucked by Triple H.
And it's not justified to have him as much of a focal point as they've had in the past. Now that we have only one championship for the main event, theoretically he should get less of that treatment, and I honestly think he's going to get more. Right now, we don't have many heels in the main event in WWE. We have Randy Orton, who can't be the only person, really. We have Alberto Del Rio, who... Fuck Alberto Del Rio.
He's not the main eventer anymore anyway. He lost to Sin Cara.
He has to take a step down. He has to.
Into a
WWE
blender.
can't be doing what they've done the past 3 years where they just stick with Del Rio and they make him the only fucking person for an entire championship, because now that championship isn't around. So he has to be somebody that takes a step down, and they have to realize that he's just not as good. We have Mark Henry, we have Big Show, 2 guys who are baby faces right now, but they make heel turns and babyface turns here and there. So one of them, at the very least, is going to turn heel throughout the year. Guaranteed.
I think it's going to be Mark Henry against Big E.
I think it probably is going to be Mark Henry, too.
Mark Henry is just a better heel.
Yeah, but you know what? Big Show could potentially be doing it as well. I mean, they've had both these guys as heel and babyface at the same time, so you never know. It depends on what they need months from now.
With Big Show, it's like no one cares if he turns heel or face anymore. It's just like it's just show. It's whatever.
But without that, I mean, you've got your John Cena's and your CM Punks and your Daniel Bryans and everything that are babyfaces right now, and you don't have many heels. So they're going to need at least one more heel, especially if Batista's coming in as a babyface and they don't turn him heel, because you can't keep Brock Lesnar around as a heel. He's not going to be around all the time. You're not going to turn, John Cena heel. I doubt that they're really going to keep Daniel Bryan heel. So they need another heel to back up Randy Orton. And Sheamus has been rumored to be coming back as a heel. And they also have been, according to Scoops, willing to admit that his babyface turn is just not as good as they wanted it to be. So if Sheamus comes back anywhere near in time for WrestleMania, guaranteed he's coming back with a babyface pop and then getting a heel turn. And if he comes afterward, he's going to come back and immediately have a heel turn or something like that, I think. And when Randy Orton drops the title to whomever he drops the title to, whether it's Cena or Punk or Bryan or Batista, whatever. Sheamus is going to be a guy that needs to fill in that heel spot. And I think when you see Triple H and Sheamus, the way that they've worked in the past where Triple H kind of gives him a little bit of special treatment here and there. They gave him, that world title reign where he was nowhere near ready for it just because Triple H and the powers that be are big on Sheamus. And they're also doing this whole big thing of they want these big guys and they're turning down people for contracts because they're not, strong, big muscular people. Sheamus fills that spot. So I think Sheamus is going to be one of these guys that throughout the entire year, he's going to be the top or second top heel in the company. And he's going to have feuds with CM Punk, Daniel Bryan maybe, John Cena again because they're going to redo that over and over again. He's going to have his match with Batista. There's going to be quite a bit. And Sheamus is going to be one of those guys to watch out for. I think that Sheamus is going to be maybe the longest running champion for 2014. So definitely my one to watch. I would say some honorable mentions that we have mentioned here. We've talked about Roman Reigns. Yeah, I almost went with Roman Reigns. I think we all kind of agree that Daniel Bryan's going to have a good year, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
If he leaves the Wyatts.
It depends how they book him. They had him really hot for a while, and he's cooled off some. He's got the potential to be that big again, but they've got to be really careful. They're treading on thin ice here.
Well, are we all in agreement that Big E Langston's probably going to have a good year?
Unless they get bored of him.
Yeah, I could see Biggie Langston being just a short-term thing.
Really?
A Bobby Lashley, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bobby Lashley had the best win average of any wrestler in the WWE.
You know what? Bobby Lashley would have been put over as a big star. I see Big E as a bit different. I think he's just the flavor of the month. And much like Ezekiel Jackson, they'll just get bored of him and just drop him.
Well, the only other person that I can think of, if I was going for a 5 list or anything like that, from what I've been hearing, CM Punk has a potential to have a good year, but to me, that's kind of, I don't know if that's really necessarily going to happen. What do you guys think?
Nope.
Punk, I think he
retires this year.
I think he's going to have a good year just so they can shut him up bitching.
Didn't they already try that and he didn't shut up? So why would they still try to appease him more? Guy's just a freaking complainer. Just fucking retire already. Go away.
Because he's banging AJ.
No jokes? Oh, nobody had a joke there? Damn. Anyway, those are some suggestions for one to watch. I want to know what you guys out there think the one to watch for 2014 is going to be. Next year around, who knows? Maybe we'll all be right. Maybe we'll all be wrong. Maybe there's going to be somebody who pops up from NXT that we didn't even have a clue is going to be a big deal. Maybe, Cody Rhodes gets that spot and he blows up this year. Not literally, but who knows? Very interesting time for WWE, though. So 2014, we're going to be watching out for all these people. Mostly Roman Reigns, it seems. But Bo Dallas, Corey Graves, Sheamus, 3 other people that we could be watching out for. We're going to finish this off and just cover up some plugs here. Starting off with Mike Payton.
Please stay tuned to everything going on at Mega Powers Radio at megapowersradio.com. Most notably, join us every Monday night following the conclusion of Monday Night Raw for the NPR Raw Post Show, where we go live, giving our fresh thoughts about what just happened on that evening show. And we also open up the phone line so all of you folks can come in and tell us what your thoughts about that evening's Raw was, pose us any questions, and interact with us a lot more than you get to on any other show. So be sure to join us every Monday night following the end of Raw, www.megapowersradio.com.
Wago?
For me, every Tuesday over on Dream Elite Radio, you can catch me doing Unanimous Decision MMA at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about since the last 2 weeks I've not been on. Silver breaking his leg, GSP retiring, so on and so on. And on the 12th, on a Sunday this month, we're going to be doing Addicted to Anime, and we're going to be covering Sword Art Online, an anime in which thousands of people in Japan get stuck in a video game where if they die there, they die in real life.
Miguel?
www.fanboysanonymous.com. Check out 90s Kid Presents, which is my blog series. I am working on the third part of my top 16 games of the late 90s. I should have that up soon. But I also have something else that I want to plug. Well, two things. First off, check out I Got Gameplay tomorrow. I'm going to be taking over as host tomorrow. Our usual host, Michael Burhan, won't be in, so I will be taking over, and we're going to be talking about video game stories, personal stories that you might have about your experiences with the video games, what got you into video games, whatnot, and other things. So be sure to check that out. I'm so embarrassed. I forgive me, guys. I don't know where the show's going to be. I'm actually trying to look for it. I believe Burhan just said that we got a new provider, so I'm trying to look on the Facebook page to see where it is so I can plug it. But I believe the last provider was XFI Radio, so
Why don't you just go to facebook.com/IGotGameplay? You'll get the details there.
Probably
yeah,
retro.
yeah, facebook.com/IGotGameplay. I'm sorry, Burhan. I didn't realize.
Sorry
that,
to him. Say sorry to the fans. Jeez.
fans, I'm sorry. But
Oh, that sounded so sad.
yeah, but yeah, also be on the lookout for a new show coming up on whatever channel the I Got Gameplay stuff is, because I myself am actually going to be hosting a show of my own. I'm going to be hosting a movie-based radio series sometime next week. We're still fleshing that out.
You can look forward to more of this, folks.
Yeah, I'm a terrible pitch man. Forgive me, guys. It's late. I'm kind of tired. I'm sure I'm gonna just hear nothing but ribbings about this. But yeah, be sure to check out XFI Radio or the I Got Gameplay Facebook page for more details about that. But sometime next week, I should be starting my own movie-based show. We're gunning for next Thursday, and the topic is going to be on the biggest flops of 2013.
And Sean?
Bloody hell. Just YouTube search me, just Sean Let's Plays. No spaces, and my Twitter page is SeanC2K37.
All right, guys, next week on Smack Talk, our special feature is going to be Busted Open. What was better, having the ability to pick which title you're challenging for when you win the Royal Rumble, or going back to the way that things used to be, where there's only one title and you automatically know who they're going to be challenging? Big thanks for everyone on the panel this evening, and thank you out there for listening. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.
There's no holding my lunch. I'm not driven by fear, I'm just driven by popcorn, and you're under attack. I'm not a commentator, I'm the eliminator. The outro clowns sing songs, and Taker's got 3 dongs. Big Show shows his gun. They're all here. Well, here's the outro. You need the outro. You got the outro. You want. Don't fucking complain. The outro. You need the outro. You got the outro. You want. Now please come back again.
We're off to a horrible start for 2014. We're terrible people.
To be fair, for a Benoit song, that could have been fucking horrible if he had chose to take the Benoit route.
Yeah, I was originally going to do something like, here's the Benoit you need, the Benoit you got.